ground a devil stream. Fire rains, the battle calls. Demons dance as heaven falls. Choirs wail, the damned ignite. Infernal's wrath, eternal night. Steel bites, the heavens quake. Flesh and bone, the earth will break. Ashes rain, the reapers feast. Darkness spreads, a crimson beast. Thunder cracks, the end draws near. Hope draws in the ocean of fear. Angels whip their wings in flame. Lost to the void, none remain. Fire rains, the battle calls. Demons dance as heaven falls. Choirs wail, the damned ignite. Infernal's wrath, eternal echoes fade. Flames rise, the sky ablaze. Shadows writhe in hell's dark maze. Swords clash, the echoes scream. Blood-soaked ground, a devil stream. Fire rains, the battle calls. Demons dance as heaven falls. Choirs wail, the damned ignite. Infernal's wrath, eternal night. ocean of fear. Angels whip their wings in flame. Lost to the void, none remain. Fire rains, the battle calls. Demons dance as heaven falls. Choirs wail, the damned ignite. Infernal's wrath, eternal night.
Sup, fuckers? Hello, 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 hello. How are we doing today? What is going on, everybody? Oh my goodness, we are in the end game now. World is melting around us. There we are. Hi, hello. It is sup, fuckers. It is what day? Tuesday, September 16th. It is nice and toasty outside. Boop, boop, boop. There you go. That's a bit better. How are we doing today? Hello, hello, hello. Let's play RuneScape. Oh my god, the world is melting. They want to kill the homeless. They want to kill the left. Oh my goodness, it is crazy times. Let's get into some RuneScape and then we'll get started talking about some stuff, I suppose. Oh, I had an excellent night last night. We'll just do that for the moment. We're working on training up our kitten to become a cat for quest purposes. We've gotten a bunch of stuff since yesterday taken care of. Including some quests that I didn't feel like doing on stream. But in exciting news, what's going on out there? So they want to kill the homeless, they want to kill the left. Charlie Kirk's assassination is the thrust that the administration seems to have been waiting for. They're sending National Guard into Memphis, another black city, another high density of black people, a city that's being targeted by the Trump administration between DC, Chicago, now Memphis, talking about Baltimore. He's got a lot of shit to say about a lot of places. And his answer for all of them is to send in the military. That's right, Oswald. Now chill out. We got a long stream ahead of us, buddy. We got a long stream ahead of us. It's time to chill out for a bit. Say we're only 7 minutes in. Let's get... Where's my RuneScape sound? I think I turned mute on. Another crafting level. There we go. How's that for volume? That'll probably be fine. Right now, again, we're training crafting. We have level 37 now. How much are we getting per level? 300 crafting experience per level. Jesus Christ. We're gonna do this for a minute. We have some tasks to take care of. We're almost to tier 3. We're 220 points away from tier 3, so that's gonna be our main task. You know what? Oops, wrong one. So we're working on crafting, level 38. We're working on mining right now. We're almost to level 50 mining, which is always exciting. Once we get to 40 crafting, we will leave this area. I was just coming to do a little bit of AFK training, but yeah, the world around us is melting. Republicans are being crybabies, cry-bullies about everything that they possibly can be. The administration is harming as many as they can. The number of people on my Facebook feed that have made the comment of like, I can't believe it had to come to me getting on here to talk about this, but I can't believe I have to break the silence over somebody being killed because of their opinion. And I'm just thinking to myself, you know, it's crazy that I've seen you be silent about Palestine for the past 2.5 years, but now all of a sudden you have an opinion that you want to put out into the world. Actually, let's wait until 50 mining, not just 40 crafting. But now all of a sudden you have to break your silence now that a white person has been killed. Really annoyed. I need to get off Facebook entirely or just go full throttle on there, but who wants to be on Facebook? Why would anyone want to be on Facebook? But yeah, the hypocrisy is insane. They want to complain about Charlie Kirk, and yet they don't have anything to say about what was his name? There was a, I'm imagining it was a lynching, Delta State University. Hey. As of now, no foul play suspected, it says. according to the Mississippi Free Press. Trey Reed. God forbid it was not near the pickleball course. God forbid it was any kind of lynching, but oh my goodness, how horrifying. What's going on? It's Kash Patel.
Go waiting on this, the president before he departs for the UK.
Or too late getting his rates down again. Who knows? You never know with too late, but he's done a lousy job. The rate should be much lower, much lower. But I just signed
Level
his
59ing.
document and all of the papers, and Steve Myron is now on.
Ground offensive is now underway in Gaza City. Your reaction?
But we're going to see what happens because I hear Hamas is trying to use the old human shield deal, and if they do that, they're going to be in big trouble.
Yeah, Hamas is
They
the
put it
ground
out.
invasion. Jesus Christ! As the genocide is entering its final phase, he wants to talk about Hamas still holding hostages. Get over yourself. We also have a video about beginning the Gaza City ground operation from Washington Examiner, but
2 days ago that they're going to use the hostages as human shields. That's something that hasn't done for a long time, you know? Let me tell you, Bob, if they do that,
this should complete the
they're in
easy
big
tasks
trouble.
for Lumbridge as well. There we go.
Who do you believe the Federal Reserve is an independent body? What do you think about the independent?
it should be, but I think they should listen to smart people like me. I think I have a better
109
instinct than
tests
him.
left.
If you look, all the economists got it
Bro,
wrong. I
finishes
got it right
inventory,
along with one other
episode
people out of
graphs,
100.
experience.
So they should listen to people that are smart. Nothing wrong with that. But they have to make their own choice. But they should listen.
Before the Asian, did you speak to a Prime Minister Netanyahu?
What about the idea of Israel beginning this ground offensive in Gaza City? Do you support that?
Well, I have to see. I mean, I don't know too much
Can you
about
go
it. I can
further
tell you
back
that
this?
if they put the hostages in front of them, Hamas, as protection, as what they call them bodyguards, Hamas is going to have hell to pay.
How gross.
Your trip to the UK today, what do you hope to achieve?
Well, my relationship is very good with the UK, and Charles, as you know, who's now king, is my friend. And it's the first time this has ever happened where somebody was honored twice, so it's a great honor. And this one's at Windsor. They've never used Windsor Castle for this before. They used Buckingham Palace. And I don't want to say one's better than the other, but they say Windsor Castle is the ultimate, right? So it's going to be nice. But basically, I'm there also on trade. They want to see if they can refine the trade deal a little bit. We made a deal, and it's a great deal. And I'm into helping them. Our country is doing very well. We've never done this well. We're having trillions of dollars coming because of the tariffs. And they'd like to see if they could get a little bit better deal. So we'll talk to them. But primarily it's to be with Prince Charles and
160
Camilla.
left.
They're friends of mine for a long time, long before he was king. And it's an honor to have him as king. And, you know, I think he represents the country so well. I've watched. He's such an elegant gentleman, and he represents the country so well.
A kitten ran off. I didn't know they could run off. Oh, that's really annoying.
Sleep at his home.
Well, that's a good way to go, I guess. But I'll tell you,
Rabbit
Robert Redford
feathers.
was great. He had a
Oh wait, no, I need bait.
series of
Oh,
years
the
that he
kitten
was,
ran off.
there
I'll
was
go and
nobody
stop
better.
this so I can go grab another one.
This
That's
just
really
happened,
annoying.
I guess. Huh? Wow.
He died in Utah in his sleep.
Yeah.
And what movie would you say you like?
He's still got a little bit of his
Well, you
face
have a lot
slump.
of them. Honestly, I'd say he made 7 or 8 great movies. They were really great. There was a period of time when he was the hottest. I thought he was great.
On TikTok. Well, TikTok goes dark. Are you going to delay the TikTok ban?
Well, we have a deal on TikTok. I've reached a deal with China. I'm going to speak to President Xi on
China.
Friday to confirm everything up. We made a very good trade deal, and I hope good for both countries, but a very different deal than they'd made in the past.
What companies are going to buy
We'll be announcing that. We have a group of very big companies that want to buy it. And, you know, the kids wanted it so badly. I had parents calling me up. They don't want it for themselves. They want it for their kids. They say, if I don't get it done, they're in big trouble with their kids. And I think it's great. I hate to see value like that thrown out the window.
So on auto, guys, so auto executives.
You know, you're talking about tens of billions of dollars.
Some auto executives are concerned that compromising the 15% for auto tariffs coming in hurts American automakers.
I didn't even mind pointing
I
at the
haven't
ore.
compromised
I'll go ahead and do
anything.
this
Where
real
did I
quick.
compromise?
Going down to 15%.
I forgot to take care of this one.
Going down to 15%. We charge, well, and where did the 25 come from? It came from there. You tell
Where
me.
all the good things come from, this old steel trap of
You
mine.
know,
Some auto
they paid
executives.
nothing.
I keep it all up
Now
here.
they're paying 15%. And some things can pay more, like chips could pay more. Pharmaceuticals could pay more. You know, there's a bigger margin. With a car, you have to make 15% before you make a profit. It's pretty tough. So, but we had a good year. Don't forget, European Union is paying our country because of tariffs $950 billion. Think of that. We're talking about a year. $950 billion. Japan is paying us $650 billion. These are countries that paid us nothing until I came along. And China's paying us a tremendous tariff. You know what the tariff is, right? You know what the tariff they're paying us?
That task.
What?
So it's 30% for the fentanyl.
Him
as well
quizzing
as
the
whatever
press.
For the 301.
20% for the fentanyl. But the overall is about 55%. Okay? That's as opposed to nothing. Would you say that's a
130
difference?
more. It's awesome that you can just strong
We
arm
have
the
a
press,
big
say whatever you
decision
want.
coming
Just,
up, and
you know, what can they
if
do to
the
argue?
Supreme Court rules
Nothing.
the way, hopefully they will, because, I mean, every legal expert said we win that case, but you still have to watch. And the Supreme Court's been terrific. You know, I think they're very fair. All I want is fairness, then we win. But if we win the Supreme Court case, which is the finalization of tariffs, we will be by far the richest country anywhere in the world, and we'll be able to help our people more, and we'll be able to help other countries when we want to. But
Not me
I
for
will
giving the
say,
air reads.
if we win that case, our country, you see what we've taken in just on a temporary basis. We've taken in trillions of dollars,
Come on
trillions
now.
with a T, and we will be by far the richest
embarrassing.
country in the world. There'll be nothing close. And you know, one other thing, we'll have tremendous power to negotiate. The use of tariffs. I settled 7 wars. 4 of them was because I was able to use tariffs.
I settled 7 wars. I started all of them.
Tons of the times more in salary than average workers. He's worried about polarization. Do you share that concern?
Well, I do say there's a big gap. I do say that. Don't forget, I'm a popularist. There's a big
I'm a
gap.
popularist.
Mr. President, it's been a month since
Here's another task.
a month on. You could not meeting accomplished what you hoped.
Yeah, accomplished a lot, but
let's get
it
that
takes
cat.
2 to tango also.
Gertrude,
You know,
sorry, I
those
killed
are
a
two
cat.
people, Zelensky
Have
and
another
Putin,
one,
that hate
please.
each other. And it looks like I have to sit in the room with them because they can't sit in the room together. There's great hatred there. But no, that meeting accomplished a lot.
Mr. President, you don't have complete confidence in Patel. What are you hoping comes from his testimony on the Hill today?
Well, first of all, I think that Pam Bondi has done an unbelievable job, and everybody agrees with that. And Cash, you know, if you take a look at what he did with respect to this horrible person that he just captured. He did it in 2 days.
The board count
It
will
took
run away.
other similar cases 4 days,
That's my
5
bad.
days.
I wasn't paying
4
attention.
years, if you look at certain shooters. Now,
we have a cat.
I have
Let's go
confidence
to
in
fourth
everybody in the
report now.
administration. My administration, and a lot of people are saying it, not just me, it's so far the best administration ever formed.
A lot of
Look at
people
our
are saying
financial
that.
people.
Not just him.
Our country is making a fortune.
He doesn't have any other
We have
names
to
ready
keep
to go,
tariffs
but there's a
because
lot of
our
people out
country
there.
is-
You know, there always
has
have
become
been.
successful because of tariffs. We
Nothing
have
he
the
says
case
matters,
in
you
the
know?
Supreme
Like,
Court.
it's
That's a
it's
very
just-
vital case. For
It's always just him talking out of his ass. Nothing he ever says has any substance. You can just make up whatever you want. Where are we going? We need to find the agility course. But at least we have. Where is the agility course? Oh, up there. At least we have Runescape. I've been really enjoying this game mode. It is quite exciting. I've never seen so many people running around and playing in the world before, but it really fills out the vibes. Okay. Let's get started with agility then. This is going to be a task here.
Unconditionally and irrevocably in love
Hello,
with him.
welcome in. I appreciate the follow. How are you today? Hope you hope you're sad news. Israel's beginning a Gaza City ground operation.
Expanded ground operations in
So,
Gaza City overnight.
we're doing our
The
best, you know?
expansion of the Israel Defense Forces.
I mean, we're doing fine overall, considering we're not in Israel. We're not in Gaza. We're not being abused by Israel. But
military began expanded
Still
ground
horrifying.
operations in Gaza City overnight. The
Horrifying.
U.S.-backed expansion of the Israel Defense Forces appears to be Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's biggest ground offensive in Gaza since the war began. Israel said Gaza City is the, quote, main stronghold of Hamas, estimating that between 2,000 and 3,000 Hamas terrorists remain in the area. More than 350,000 people out of Gaza City.
terrorists, you know, anybody, and like the designation of Hamas terrorist has wildly changed from the point when it was anybody over the age of 18 to now anybody, as they've run out of people over the age of 18. They no longer have men over 18 anymore to call the terrorists, and now everyone's just like, yeah.
Roughly 1 million residents had already left the area ahead of Israel's campaign. The IDF expects at least 200,000 Palestinian residents to remain in the area. The announcement came as the United Nations Commission released a report alleging Israel's war against Hamas in the Gaza Strip amounted to a genocide of Palestinians. The European Union
Interact
also
with the
opposed
kitten.
escalating operations in Gaza.
The EU has consistently urged Israel not to intensify its operation
Any
in
vermin
Gaza
around.
City. A military intervention will lead to more destruction, more death, and more displacement.
But the U.S. backed the operation, with Secretary of State Marco Rubio
What?
meeting with Benjamin Netanyahu and senior
Keep in mind, Marco Rubio is trying to get a bill passed or make it so that he can take away your passport if he doesn't like the things that you have to say about Israel.
members of his cabinet hours before the latest offensive launched. President Donald Trump still hoped for a speedy resolution to the conflict in the region.
Great. Israel launches Gaza offensive.
So here we are with the Fox News alert. Israel launching a new offensive into Gaza, striking the Strip's largest city, Gaza City, and taking down entire buildings. It comes as Secretary of State Marco Rubio continues his trip through the Middle East. Alex Hogan joins us now from London. Hey, Alex.
Hi, Brian. After weeks of preparing for an increase of force, we are seeing this new ground offensive begin in Gaza. It was a night of heavy strikes overnight. The IDF says that it has started this new early phase of its ground offensive in Gaza City. The city's hospital today has reported 20 deaths and as many as 90 wounded. The IDF says the number of ground forces will rise in the coming days as they warn civilians to head south. Defense Minister
Jesus
Israel
Christ.
Katz today says the IDF is using an iron fist and that Gaza City is burning. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is now in Doha. He's meeting with officials to discuss Israel's strike in
Boo.
Qatar on Hamas
What a
last
gross-
week.
what a
And
gross
before
person.
leaving Israel, he stressed the urgency of securing a ceasefire.
We all prefer that this end with a negotiated settlement that leads to the release of every single hostage, both alive and deceased, that leads to the demilitarization and disarming of Hamas, so they can no longer pose a threat, not just to Israel, but everyone.
Went on to
thank
say
goodness.
that this
Thank
is a very
goodness
short
they'll
window
finally
of
be
time that we are
stopped
looking
as Israel harasses everybody around them. As Israel attacks every country around them. Thank goodness Hamas will finally stop from harming people in their ongoing defense campaign. Fuck off. Oh, it's also gross.
not a matter of months, but rather days and even weeks. Brian.
All right, Alex, thank you. Meanwhile, I'd like to bring in former Secretary of State, Fox News contributor Mike Pompeo. Mr. Secretary, you think this operation was necessary and inevitable. Do you think it'll be successful?
Brian, good morning. I do think it'll be successful. I think it'll be a long slog. They've been building this operation for weeks, getting ready for this. They've now told the civilians to clear out. I hope they all do. But they're going to go chase down every last leader of the Hamas military. And this is important that for Israeli security, you've got to go do this. I'm confident they can get there, but it's going to be a weeks-long exercise for them to actually chase these folks down, chase them out of the tunnels, and then get after them. It's now coming up on the anniversary of October 7th. We're just a couple weeks away from that. And the Israelis needed to do this to be successful in ultimately achieving their mission of both getting security for their people and the return of their hostages as well.
Do you think they know where the hostages are?
Brian, I'm guessing they know where some of them are, but not all of them, and I'm pretty confident that Hamas moves them around with some frequency. So it is a very difficult challenge, and one of the reasons they're having to go into Gaza.
And that's why, you know, they just have to bomb indiscriminately. You know, if they that's why, you know, when they shoot somewhere after people arrive to help, they have to fire again, because that's when Hamas gets there.
As the Secretary Rubio says, because
as they try to save the people around
Hamas
them.
folks have refused to enter any serious ceasefire conversation and actually return those hostages home.
You're a diplomat, but you also have a West Point background, so you can do the military thing and you can do the diplomatic thing. Was it a good move for Israel, looking at the big picture, to take their shot in Doha, judging by the backlash that's come since then?
Brian, I'm not sure I know the answer to that, but the Israelis clearly believed that they needed to do that. It's those folks sitting in suits in nice offices that are directing the death and the threats against Israelis even today. And I know the United States would do this. We go anywhere always to capture folks that are trying to kill Americans. I think the Israelis are going to do exactly the same thing we would do to defend our own citizens.
We see Big Ben in the background. We know you're in the UK. We know the president's going to be in the UK today. Meanwhile, one of the big issues
and the threats against Israelis even today. And I know the United States would do this. We go anywhere always on frequency. So it is a Brian, I'm guessing they know where some of them are, but not all of them, and I'm pretty confident that Hamas moves them around with some frequency. So it is a very difficult challenge, and one of the reasons they're having to go into Gaza is, as Secretary Rubio says, because the Hamas folks have refused to enter any serious ceasefire conversation and actually return those hostages home.
You're a diplomat, but you also have a West Point background, so you can do the military thing and you can do the diplomatic thing. Was it a good move for Israel, looking at the big picture, to take their shot in Doha, judging by the backlash that's come since then?
Brian, I'm not sure I know the answer to that, but the Israelis clearly believe that they need to do that.
Easier? I mean,
it's those folks sitting in suits in nice offices that are directing the death.
Bro, you're the
threats
guy.
Against
That's what I
Israelis
heard.
even
You're the guy
today.
in the suits.
I know the United States would do this. We go anywhere always to capture folks that are trying to kill Americans. I think the Israelis are going to do exactly the same thing we would do to defend our own citizens.
We see Big Ben
You're
in the
the guy
background.
in
We know
the
you're in the
suit
UK. We know the
advocating
president's
for
going to
the
be
death.
in the UK today. Meanwhile, one of the
The
big issues that
hypocrisy.
the president's already brought
Again,
up
it's just
is the
always so
crackdown on
prevalent.
free
Always-
speech.
always
Charlie
upon us,
Kirk
always
brought
with
that
us.
up at Oxford. Listen to this exchange.
Here in this country, you guys invented the idea of
Thank you
free
for not
speech. You
being
brought it to the
MAGA
world.
religious
You guys
right. Oh, yeah,
do not
for
have
sure.
free speech in this country anymore. 30 people a day
There's too many
are
of them out
arrested
there.
in the UK for inflammatory social
It's
media
absolutely
posts.
scary, crazy times. Not eat yellow snow. The number of people that I've had come in here today, or not today, this past week, ever since Charlie Kirk was killed, and just calling me a terrorist just for being on the platform and saying I'm like liberal, left-leaning in any kind of way is absolutely horrifying. Like when I was growing up, politics was arguing about, you know, taxes and not or maybe that was just my view of it as I was a child, but it wasn't constantly a discussion of who deserves rights and who we need to kill.
I see a country where the ruling elites are in a race to abandon the very values, that made them so great in the first place. This country just had its 14th uninterrupted year of so-called conservative rule. And what did they conserve exactly? Well, they didn't conserve the ancient British rights to freedom of speech.
Was he right? Is he right?
Yeah. Look, Charlie was spot on there. I've been here for a couple of days. I've heard this from many of my conservative friends here in the United Kingdom. It is the case that free speech rights are being curtailed in London and elsewhere.
Now, keep in mind also, Charlie Kirk we've been finding out, has some of his main defamators were actually the Groypers, the Nick Fuentes neo-Nazi part of things that were against him because he wasn't anti-Semitic enough. He wasn't pro-Trump enough. And so the framing of it was the trans people that did it is, of course, ridiculous. Trans people don't do anything like this. Yeah, like looking back, I grew up in the South, and so I've grown up with very clear examples of systemic racism and personal racism all of my life, and I've seen the way that works, and I see the way that functions. And again, though, growing up with that in mind, it's a lot worse. It's so much worse now. So much worse now. Like I just say, you know, I try to add I was a child, just so, you know, I got to check your privilege. But that being said, it's so scary how far it's come now. We're going to listen to what they're saying about homeless people in a couple minutes, because from my understanding, they're calling for the murder and killing of homeless people. Either a cat got very upset, or or the government's made their way into my home. One of the two things are happening, but
We've got a significant immigration problem in the United Kingdom. Those are deeply related. The United Kingdom is a place that we all know as Americans. We love them. They are great partners of the United States of America on security and economics, but they've got to clean up their act. They need to return to the very set of values that they've had for so long. And when they do, there'll be more freedom of speech, more economic success, and the partnership between the U.S. and the United Kingdom that President Trump's coming here to support today, it'll continue to grow by.
Mr. Secretary, thanks so much. Always great to have you on. Appreciate it. I'm Steve Doocy. I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling.
All right, that's exciting. So that's all happening. What's going on in Fox News land? I haven't looked at Fox News today or yesterday. I took the day off yesterday of the news to focus on playing RuneScape. Oh, continue the quest. Where did she go? There's Violet. So I wasn't on yesterday. I know Kash Patel's getting questioned right now.
President Trump,
I heard that he's apparently killed 3 people.
Saying 3 narco-terrorists are dead after the U.S. military conducts
narco-terrorists. I would love to see the due process on that. You know, just to make sure that they are who the media and the government tells me they are.
A second strike on Venezuelan drug boats in international waters.
We have proof. All you have to do is look at the cargo that was, like, it's spattered all over the ocean. Big bags of cocaine and fentanyl all over the place. But we have noticed that there are no ships in the ocean anymore. We're seeing that there's like no ships, no, you know, when the first one we went, there were hundreds of boats. Now there are no boats. I wonder
no
why.
boats.
Joining me now is the president of the Oversight Project.
We took all the water to California after Newsom said no water in California. We took it to California. Now there's no boats anywhere you look.
Is a visiting fellow in the Border Security and Immigration Center at the Heritage Foundation, Mike Howell. Mike, great to have you back on the program. Look, let's be realistic. Not much else in our history has worked to stop the poisoning of our country through drugs. And to the president's point, if I'm a narco-terrorist...
And keep in mind that most drugs get into the country through white people coming across the border.
And I
most
see
of it coming from China or other places, but the blame on the South American cartels is specifically to continue the exploitation and the abuse towards the global South, and specifically American South.
Not one, but 2 of my fellow narco-terrorists get blown out of the water. I might think twice about being a narco-terrorist. Thoughts?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. This is the only language that the cartels speak. It's power and it's force. And I'm glad we finally have a president who understands that, and a Secretary of State who does as well. I mean, this is going to become, I think, the norm if they continue to even try this stuff, that under the president's broad authorities to, you know, combat imminent threats to the United States, which include drugs that have poisoned hundreds of thousands of Americans to death, he will take you out. That is the message that has been sent.
Why wasn't this done before in both Republican and Democrat administrations? Because, you know, we've had the technology to take out a little dinghy in the ocean. Why did it take Donald J. Trump to be the first president to say, this ends, and this ends now?
Yeah, I think the establishment here in Washington, D.C. has used the massive kind of resources and authorities that have come, in the post 9/11 war for their own foreign interventionism, as opposed to protecting the United States in our own backyard. And so you have an administration that understands that it is.
You have an administration that no longer cares about the soft power that is gained through good relationships through foreign actors. You have an administration that no longer gives a shit about the foreign policy of the American administration, aside from defend Israel at every opportunity possible. In fact, the only priority of the administration, aside from that, is to make sure that we empower the administration as much as possible and maintain their power as much as we can.
Their mandate.
That's my answer. That's. I feel like the Key and Peele anger interpretive speaker. Why did it take now for us to start doing war crime? Why did it take until now for us to start blowing up boats with civilians occasionally on them in the global south? As if we haven't been doing that the whole time, of course. With letter H. You're so right, though. Why did it take until now for this to happen?
Protect, American first interest. And the thing that is hurting our people the most right now is the flooding of our communities with fentanyl that have accompanied the illegal migration waves that have been ushered in by the Biden administration, and in some aspects condoned by some elements on the right. And so this is a different administration that is using these very strong authorities for the purposes they told all Americans they were going to do going into this election. So it's keeping the promises that were made.
15 seconds to you, Mike.
It's the will of the American people. The American people asked for this with their vote. He won the popular vote, therefore he gets to do whatever the fuck he wants. I've never heard that before. Crazy. I remember other people winning the popular vote, and I don't remember this argument being made then, so I don't know where this came from out of the... Look at that smug little face. Look at that cuckable little face right there. What a little shit stain.
How do you expect the narco-terrorists to adapt?
Yeah, well, the scary thing is the boats aren't their only technique, right? They've made massive strides in kind of their use of drones, not only to transport drugs across the border, but to attack each other south of it. And they're going to find a way. This is a massive cat and mouse game, but the president's playing it for keeps.
Mike Howell, a pleasure to always have you on. You're always such good answers, such quick answers, and such insightful answers. You get it all in, and we appreciate it. Thank you, Mike.
I'm Steve Ducey. I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart.
Kill me. Why would you ask me to do such a thing, Brian? Why would you ask me to do such a thing? Oh, goodness me. Scores of Discord chat users to talk to in Kirk assassination investigation. They've been retracting a bunch of ooh, good news.
A judge has dismissed
Luigi.
the charges of terrorism against.
What was I saying? What was I saying just a second ago? Oh yeah, they have apparently a bunch of Discord logs to sift through from the shooter, but he apparently got a message from somebody in there saying, "Hey, is this you? This looks like you." And he responded like, "Hey, sorry guys, yeah, that's me." It's involuntary inject homeless people to kill them. Yeah, that's what I was going to be pulling up today. Fox and friends killed the homeless. Yeah, I was planning on pulling this up today.
One of Fox News' biggest names is now apologizing after he made a shocking comment about killing homeless people.
At least
Brian
he
Kilmeade and the
apologized.
other hosts of Fox and Friends were talking on Wednesday about the murder of 23-year-old Irina Zarutska in North Carolina and how to stop those kinds of crimes when he said this.
Either you take the resources that we're going to give you, or you decide that you're going to be locked up in jail. That's the way it has to be now.
Or involuntary lethal injection or something. Just kill them.
Just kill him. There
Comey
it is, saying
didn't
the
really
quiet
get
part out
noticed
loud.
widely until this
Well, good thing
weekend when
he
it went
apologized.
viral and generated a
Don't take him off the air.
ton
or
of
anything.
outrage. That's when Kilmeade went back on Fox News this morning to apologize. Here's what he had to say.
We were discussing the murder of Irina Zarutska in Charlotte, North Carolina, and how to stop these kinds of attacks by homeless, mentally ill assailants, including...
You know, I think it's wild that they're willing to say things like that. As at the same time they're shaming anybody who's associated with any kind of like leftist or liberal leaning, as saying like, you're calling for violence, you're calling for murder to be taking place, and it's your fault that these things are happening. Bro, it's fucking you guys. It's you guys. You're the fucking monsters. You know, I think about like the fears that motivate the conservative party a lot of the time, and like so like when we look at like intolerance towards like a cab, the cops are going crazy outside, literally calling for murder. Yeah, like right, like the fears that come from these people. Like I think about like fears from aliens, for example. Like when I think about like what people what I think conservatives are scared of, I think of like, you know, the crazy alien guy of you know, tin wearing hat. But like the fear of aliens comes from a place of, if we meet aliens, we would have to assume that those aliens came from or have better technology than we do, because they are able to get to us. So for us to be able to meet aliens, they would have to be more intelligent than we are, and therefore, anytime in history we've been presented by that, the more intelligent has always been an aggressor and an oppressive force on the less, not intelligent, but the less developed civilization. And so like the fear of aliens, from my understanding anyway, a lot of it comes from like fear of white supremacist values, fear of oppression, fear of you know, slave labor, having your autonomy taken away from you. And yet what's the one thing they want to do to everybody is take away their autonomy from them. I 100% think it's because they want to do these things to others and assume that's what people will do to them. Yeah, I mean, like the like transphobia, for example, a lot of that comes from a lot of the fear from a lot of the hatred towards transphobia comes from a place of people being upset that they see others living the life that they want to be able to live, and they feel repressed in the way that they aren't able to do that in some way, and so they lash out at the person that it is able to experience those things. Like it's all very like, you know, if you never watched Avatar: The Last Airbender growing up, then I can see how you may not have like these emotional understandings. But also, like, you have to go out into the real world and be in public, so it's time for you to learn these things. Like, it's time to grow up, boomers. You know what I mean? Like, it's either a lack of understanding, or it's an assumption of something being taken away from them, or they're losing their autonomy in some way, even though that's not the case. Because at the end of the day, everything that they stand for is a product of mass psychosis. There is no problem of liberals or leftists, you know, doing mass late-term abortion. There is no systems in which, you know, the trans are converting your kids at the libraries. There is no political system in which Antifa is organizing the left in a radical way whatsoever. Like, all of these things are just projections of what they're already doing, because they are doing those things. I can explain to you how PragerU specifically pays for you know, right-wing content, and how YouTube fixes the algorithm so that way when you as soon as you like a Mr. Beast video on YouTube, now all of a sudden you're subjected to nothing but Andrew Tate and Joe Rogan content for the rest of your time. I remember running that experiment like 3 years ago on a fresh account, just because I was curious. And so, like, again, everything that they're afraid of comes from projection, comes from either mass psychosis or just lead brain, you know, like the neurons can't function. That's crazy. Yeah, like like I can't think of a single problem. Like we see it right now with the hypocrisy around Charlie Kirk. They are saying that it's the left and the liberals that are calling for murder, but at the same time, it was 2 months ago, I think, that Laura Loomer was joking that we need to feed the 65 million immigrants, Hispanic immigrants in this country. We need to feed them to alligators in alligator Alcatraz. I think that was 2 months ago. Laura Loomer, at the same time, she's also the person that was led a huge campaign against trans people, saying that they were trying to indoctrinate kids, that they were pedophiles, that they were trying to turn your kids into trans because they were, sex-crazed lunatics. And then she was caught having sex or like giving a handy to her boy toy in a public theater. That was Laura Loomer, right? Loomer, hand job in theater.
Laura Loomer, in addition to drawing concern over the fact that she's...
No, that's not what I'm looking for. YouTube. Politician. Oh, wrong buttons. Politician gives hand job in theater.
Lauren Boebert. My bad.
Boebert. Say it 3 times.
My
and she
bad.
appears.
There's too many people.
Video.
However, the argument still
the
stands because they've done. Lauren Boebert has done the same thing. So again, like the idea of it's the left and the liberals that are causing these problems. No, it's just the conservatives that are causing these problems. When Charlie Kirk was killed, leftists and liberals came together and said, we don't need to do this. We need to say no to violence, as the right was calling for the hanging of every leftist that they could get their hands on, and then proceeded to say, how dare you not care enough? Like, it's just, the hypocrisy is so frustrating. That's honestly why I started streaming, was so I could feel like I could have some sense of control over it, because just watching the news and screaming at my TV without the ability to like have some kind of focus for it made me feel a bit too much like a crazy person. Now I feel like only half of a crazy person.
The theater. For being
Yeah,
disruptive.
kicked out of Beetlejuice
The
show.
DCPA says she was vaping. Boebert's team denied that. Said the haze was from fog machines in the show. That claim goes up in smoke when you see the video. The pregnant
she is
woman sitting behind
vaping.
Boebert told the Denver Post she asked her to stop vaping, and Boebert refused. Her one-woman show continued, taking flash photos, raising her hands and...
What are you not supposed to do in a theater? I was a theater major, so this is triggering. But what are you not supposed to do in a flash photography? Maybe these people are infants, animals.
Taking flash photos, raising her hands and dancing, often the only one clapping or standing up in the crowd. Boebert occasionally
She's
took
got to
a
be high, right?
break from being disruptive to enjoy the company of her male companion. He briefly had a grasp on the situation before ushers returned and told Boebert she had to leave. The theater's incident report says Boebert pulled the "Don't you know who I am" card on the way out, appearing to give theater employees
If I had a
single
nickel.
finger salute.
If I had a nickel for every time I've gotten, yeah, it wasn't Laura Loomer, it was Lauren Boebert. How's Luigi doing? Luigi, are you doing okay?
A judge has dismissed the charges of terrorism against the accused CEO assassin Luigi Mangione. There he is last hour walking into state court in New York. Eric Shawn live in Lower Manhattan with what transpired then. Eric, hello again.
Hello, Bill. Well, it's a big win for Luigi Mangione, the judge dismissing 2 state terrorism charges, but the murder count and weapons charge against him will remain. As you said, Mangione walked into court here at Manhattan, a criminal court. He was in a prison jumpsuit and shackles.
What a cutie.
The judge did grant the request from...
I've called them. I don't know what's going on, but I've told them I was with him that day. Him and I were hanging out. We were making sandwiches together. He wasn't in New York. I don't know why they still have him in jail. Guys, come on. Hangings. Did you hear about the lynching that happened? Yeah, no, I was, I pulled that up as soon as I got on here, and the first thing I said was, oh, they're saying it was self-harm. I sure hope it was actually self-harm and not a lynching, seeing as how it's in Mississippi at Delta State University. They've got a great history of being, tolerant. But yeah, no, potential lynching taking place, again, as the right continues to fester flames as the right continues to fan the gates of hell. Yeah, no,
The
absolutely
defense
disgusting.
to drop those-
I say hopefully it was self-harm, as if that would, be any kind of better. But I mean, I guess it's at least not like adding adding fuel to the fire that's going on. But to be honest, I don't really have faith in the racists. You know what I mean? Like if I'm hedging my bets, I don't put my money on the racists unless it's what I'm expecting them to do. Investigate a frozen bucket. Investigate a maple tree. Maple logs. Investigate the logs to make a file.
Terrorism counts. Mangione, of course, accused of gunning down United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson last December as Thompson walked to a Midtown Manhattan healthcare conference. That's seen, prosecutors say, as a strike by Mangione against the alleged abuses of the country's healthcare industry. In his ruling, Judge Gregory Carr wrote, quote, while the defendant was clearly expressing an animus toward UHC, United Healthcare, and the healthcare industry generally, it does not follow that his goal was to intimidate and coerce a civilian population, and indeed there was no evidence presented of such a goal. The defense has sought to suppress evidence that includes the ghost gun, a partially printed 3D weapon that police say Mangione used to kill Thompson. The defense also objects to entering his notebook into evidence. Prosecutors say that contains writing detailing his plan to kill Thompson, but there's no decision so far from the judge on those requests. Outside of court, Mangione's lawyers would not comment, but they were cheered by a group of Mangione supporters as they walked by them on the street. Many of the protesters here were happy that Mangione no longer faces the terrorism counts.
In my perfect world, he would have said, I'm not guilty, and then he would have left. But that's
Nice
not how
hat.
the world works, right? The evidence is circumstantial. He wasn't Mirandaized. The book bag, like, who brings the book bag to the McDonald's? Like, it's fishy.
Mangione also faces federal charges that could result in the death penalty if he's convicted. That federal case will go after this state case. Next step in the proceedings will be hearings the judge has set to begin on December 1st. Bill, back to you.
All right, Eric, thanks. Eric Shawn in New York. Thank you, Eric.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-host Harris Faulkner.
Oh goodness.
And irrevocably in love with him.
Hey, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out with me as well. I always appreciate the company. What's going on? So they want to kill the homeless. I've been talking about the homeless specifically for a while. I strayed off of that for a second as I was thinking, but I've been thinking about and talking about the homeless for a while as I've seen them start to round up homeless in my own hometown. I recently moved back to my town, and the escalation in police has been absolutely horrifying. The way in which the police has completely moved in. When you go downtown now, it's guaranteed that you'll be able to find probably at least upwards of 8 cops at any given moment. They'll just be out and about, grabbing coffee, walking around in groups. But compared to what, again, I grew up with, completely different than what I recall. Just the other morning, the first thing that I saw when I woke up and walked outside was a group of, I think it was 12 cops on bikes flying by as they passed my apartments, and then moved on to they were followed up by 6, I think, 6 different cop cars that followed up after them. And so, like, this increase in police presence, as we also have like the deputization of every ICE agent who gets a signing bonus more than a teacher's salary. They get a $50,000 signing bonus. We could be putting that towards education, but no, we have to put it towards us starting a Nazi fund. So instead, we get our Nazis. We don't get anything else. And those Nazis are then used to enforce their authority over everyone they can. It starts with the people who have been most marginalized and most victimized by society, being the homeless. The homeless people have been. Let me wait until after this Christmas cutscene. La-di-da-di-da. We're going on a little Christmas adventure. Violet, icy snow from behind Violet. So now that we have this Nazi force and we have our people that we can victimize, we can start that process. I need to find the icy snow from behind Violet. Where is Violet? Icy snow. There it is. We watched on stream them move into DC and start taking out the homeless encampments. As we were moving through as they were moving through the homeless encampments, they were just mass arresting everybody they could find. They specifically went through and put stickers on everybody and gave them how long was it? A 12-hour head notice. They gave them a 12-hour head notice with stickers saying your stuff will be removed very, very soon, and gave them no indication of where they need to go, gave them no indication of what they needed to do, just that their stuff was going to be taken. And these are, we say houseless because people can have homes. You know, a home isn't necessarily a structure, but a house is specifically a structure, a building. And so they moved into these people's homes that they had built for themselves, and these are stations that have kitchen setups inside of them. They have bathrooms functioning inside of them. Like, they've made homes for themselves in these various places because they have nowhere else to go, and now they are forced into concentration camps. Yeah, there's an executive order saying that if there's a homeless person and they don't go with the police to the concentration camp, then they get arrested. Why won't you let me take it? Oh, I have to do it every time. Okay, gotcha. I thought I had to do more work than that. Do I? Is it not attaching? We'll just keep on clicking. But now we have our homeless people that we can arrest due to executive order. We have the ability to do that now. What else? Now that we have our homeless people in concentration camps, we can put them to work. Don't worry, if they don't want to go to the concentration camps, then good news, you can put them in. You can arrest them and put them in jail, and then use them as slave labor anyway. Like the path of the dehumanization of the homeless has been going on for so long, and now you have again them saying the quiet part out loud on the news, saying it's time to kill the homeless people. But like the system wants homelessness to occur. The system wants homelessness to be there because homelessness is seen as a threat. You know, if you don't maintain a job, if you don't maintain income, this is what could happen to you. You don't want to end up like this without anything, no material conditions, because that's how we pull our value from ourselves, is by our material conditions, by our house that has capital attached to it, by the deed of sale to our car that gives us the ownership over it. They don't want homeless people to go away because homeless people give people incentive. Every time you're walking down the street and you see somebody who's homeless, your first thought most people's first thoughts become, I don't want to end up like that. And now, again, as homeless people have been dehumanized so much, homelessness is now just considered to be crime. Like if you talk to people about, I lived in Chicago for almost 3 years. And the number of people that I talked to that are, terrified of Chicago because of the fear-mongering around it is hilarious, considering it's a perfectly safe city to live. It's just like any other major city. Like, sure, there's going to be crime that happens, but crime happens, especially if you have, like, bad material conditions and no job prospects for communities. Like, people resort to crime when they don't have access to what they need. But I heard every single day about how the homeless were everywhere and how we just needed to get rid of them. But the association between homelessness and crime, as well as homelessness and dirtiness, is absolutely disgusting. Especially when, at the end of the day, we have the capability to fix these things. We have the ability to fix these things. We could be providing housing for these people. For everybody homeless, we could just give them a house. There's 800, it's probably closer to about 900,000 homeless people in this country. There's upwards of 16 million vacant units. I say we take some of these units and put them towards something better. Put them towards something more useful. As opposed to just wasting materials for the sake of capital and investment hedge funds. I'm so pissed. Not me clicking it the wrong way. Now I understand how this works. Just in time for me to be done. So yeah, the dehumanization of the homeless has been going on for such a long time. It's just ingrained in people at this point. But the dehumanization of everyone's been going on for so long. That's how you end up with, an entire country primed to hate trans people despite not understanding anything about trans people. Like, anytime I've ever had a conversation with a conservative about, like, trans science or, like, trans knowledge, they're lacking on any foundational basis. That is a miserable statistic. Do you say 16 million vacant buildings or something? Yes. So we have 800 million reported homeless people, and that's reported by the census. By the last census is probably upwards of 900 million, and that number is only going to continue as people get priced out of their homes and whatnot. But we have 16 million vacant units with an M, as in Madagascar, that we could just be giving to people. We could just put those people in those homes, but instead companies like BlackRock, investment firms, large hedge funds are able to buy up those properties and sit on them to be able to make sure that we maintain the maintain the revenue from them. By creating scarcity, you're able to increase cost, despite the fact that we do not have a scarcity problem. Like, when we listen to liberals now, like the liberal push of like the Ezra Klein abundance policy of, like, we need to free up the arms of production so that we can, like, taking on like light communist tones in your rhetoric to try to appeal more populist. When in actuality, by saying we need to take away the restrictions that are stopping us from building things that are keeping people from having homes, that's the current, like, Democrat position, is we need to remove restrictions so that way we can free up the production market the way it's supposed to be happening, so that way we can produce the homes that people need, because there's a housing crisis. But the Democrats refuse to actually look at the problem of, we have the homes. We have 16 million vacant units between apartments, between housing, and that's aside from the number. Okay, if you want to get real with it, that's aside from every single office building that has been completely abandoned. I don't know where you live. I lived in Atlanta for a little while, and let me tell you, every subsection of Atlanta is covered with office buildings that have been completely abandoned. I see a major conversion opportunity. That could be housing. We've already seen the conversion of malls into housing, but, like, this unused land that people just sit on and apparently have the rights to is absolutely disgusting. And so, like, if we're actually looking at, like, total number of vacancies across the country, across, like, every possible number of things that can be modified into housing, based off of very loose estimates, I think it was from Stanford, it was upwards of about 42 million vacant housings across the country. And so, but this is consistent across every industry. Like, when you look at food, I don't know if you're aware of all the things that people or that companies do to make sure that food cost stays in the way that they want it to. But for example, grocery stores, the most basic examples is grocery stores. When product is going out of date and when product needs to be gotten rid of, my solution and what I think we should do is, give it to those who need it. That's what I think would be the best thing to do with it. Instead, companies will take all the groceries out to their dumpster and then specifically pour bleach all over it. Because if they don't pour bleach on it, then that incentivizes homeless people to come and use their dumpster and come and grab stuff out of their dumpster. So they have to pour bleach on it because, again, people associate homelessness with crime. And this was at least the corporate training that I went through for my company. Actually, this has been corporate training that I've been through for 3 companies. Yes, it does. But you get to maintain the price margins. You get to maintain the people coming in and buying your food. So we actually only use, I think it's about 30% of the food that we produce. The rest of it is, you have a lot of it that's disposed of simply because it doesn't meet the beauty standards that American markets want. So you have a slightly misshapen apple and it needs to go to the kill pile and to be incinerated and not used. But it goes beyond grocery stores doing this. It goes beyond companies doing this. It goes to like systemic things, like the fact. So like, as much as Christians love talking about their Christian fundamentals, I remember in the Bible them talking about how if you are a farmer, you need to give people free access to your to your crops, to your food, because no person should be going hungry. And yet in cities where we have the opportunity to plant as many fruit trees as we want, we specifically plant male trees so that way we can get no fruit bearing, or you can have no fruit bearing trees in cities. Because if you have fruit bearing trees in cities, that gives people the opportunity to get food from not the supermarket. Like literally everything is built up to make you spend as much money as possible. And like you said, literally just evil. But without that forced scarcity, there isn't the level of profit margin to be had. Is the end of the day. Like I remember when they were talking about inflation of like grocery store prices. When they were talking about inflation for grocery stores, they said over and over again, "Oh, well, the grocery game has such tight margins. It's got such tight opportunities for growth in it, etc. There's only so many things that you can do." And yet, the Walden family, being the owners of this grocery chain, they're still able to bring in billions of dollars a year. How does that happen if the margins are that tight? No, the Waldens make their profit because the way Walmart works is Walmart receives money from the federal government. That money that they get from the federal government is called subsidies, and they are used, as the company claims, to make sure that those grocery prices don't go too high up in price. Walmart is one of the largest employers in this country, and they are also one of the largest, or they are, I believe, the largest employer in this country that, in terms of employees that are on food stamps and/or social safety nets from the government. So not only does the government pay Walmart to lower the food prices, which Walmart typically doesn't do, but the government then also pays Walmart's employees the missing cost of what Walmart should be paying their employees. Because if Walmart made enough, if the employees at Walmart made enough money to survive, then they wouldn't need those social safety nets. So Walmart is knowingly paying their employees less than it takes to survive, knowing that they'll get bailouts from the federal government, bailouts, air quotes, knowing that they'll get bailouts from the federal government. And so the cost of the consumer when it comes to shopping at Walmart is literally, you have the cost of going to the store, you have the cost of paying for the food or whatever you need at the store. You have the cost of the labor and the time that it took you to go to the store, because time is money. Everyone loves saying time is money. So you have all these different costs, and then aside from that, your taxes are directly paying for the employees to work at Walmart. The taxes that you pay from your paycheck are going to subsidize the Walden family, so that way they can still rake in billions from bonuses and stock buybacks. But the employees at the bottom still get shit on and still have to work their way through the meat grinder every opportunity they have. What does this mean for the low-level employee? How does Walmart do this? Through various methods. If you've ever been a low-level employee, I'm sure at some point you've had to deal with the fact that a company will require you to work 33 hours for you to be able to get benefits, and yet the company will only schedule you 28 hours. You know, I'm sure you've been in an interview where a company has asked you if you have consistent access to work, you know, quote unquote, do you have a car? They can't ask if you have a car because that's classless and federally protected for now. But they can't ask if you have a car, but they sure can ask if you have a reliable means of transportation, expecting people to say, oh, I have a car, or, oh, yes, I ride the bus. Once you offer up that information, they can make a judgment based off of that. But again, all of these systems are just so ingrained into every aspect of our society. When you try to talk to, especially in my experience, more conservative or less pliable, I'll say, less pliable to change oriented people, there tends to just be a shutdown. Tends to just be a shutdown in the brain. I've been rambling for a while. What's Ben Shapiro saying recently?
My friend Charlie Kirk. Well, folks.
Not a 51-minute Ben Shapiro. Well, that's certainly not what I'm going to be watching. I do want to see what JD Vance says here. Because I heard JD Vance took over the Charlie Kirk podcast. Think I heard that? But yeah, to your point, they are literally just evil. Like the capitalists literally are just evil. Anytime I bring up communism, the first thing I hear in response is the Soviet Union. Oh my, Mao's China, and just the inability to get past anything beyond that. Anything at the altar of money. Hey, money runs it all. You know, if you have the capital, you can do anything. I was talking the other day, you know, because I'm poor, if I go down and I dump chemicals into a river, the police are going to come and probably kill me. Well, I'm white, so they'll probably just arrest me, or fine me. But I'll probably be arrested for doing something along those lines. But a company, the company, if a company goes and they dump chemicals into a river, they get a fine. You know, they have power, therefore they can do it. They have money, therefore it can be done. Trump had money, therefore he could buy the presidency. However, it's important to remember that Elon Musk is so unlikable that as the richest man in the world, he could not buy that special election in, was it Michigan? Wisconsin. It was Wisconsin. He's so unlikable. All the money in the world could not win him that special election in Wisconsin. But that did just remind me, as we talk about the hypocrisy of Republicans and how MAGA needs to as MAGA talks about how the left is fuming violent rhetoric right now.
Congratulations, Tommy, on putting together an amazing event and really rallying the people of Britain.
Elon,
oh, it's absolutely horrifying, the amount of Red Scare propaganda.
Without you giving the British public access to the truth and giving us free speech and fighting for our free speech. So on behalf of Great Britain and the British public, we're incredibly grateful, Elon.
Bruce.
You're most welcome. You're most welcome. And you may notice this T-shirt that I'm wearing is great British author George Orwell. What would Orwell think? I think that's generally a good way to look at these things. He would want freedom of speech. He would want the people to know what's real. He'd want the people to fight against government oppression and fight for the truth and fight for the future of Britain.
Elon, we are incredibly grateful for your time. We know what a busy man you are. Why is it important for you to be here today speaking at this United Kingdom event?
Well, I am of primarily British heritage, British ancestry. I want Britain to be
all right, let's speed this up
greater than it ever has been. I want Britain to remain Britain. I think there's something beautiful about being British. And what I see happening is a destruction of Britain. Initially a slow erosion, but a rapidly increasing erosion of Britain, with massive uncontrolled migration, a failure by the government to protect innocent people, including children, who are getting gang raped. It's unreal. The government has failed in its duty to protect its citizens, which is a fundamental duty of government.
All very classic fascist talking points, instilling fear and the fear mongering. You have the othering, the warning of what's going to happen if you don't act first. To have everything.
This has got to stop. There needs to be massive government reform in Britain. And the people need to be in charge, not some bureaucracy that doesn't care.
Elon, I believe that's what we started today. Powered by the people, sending a message worldwide. Elon, you spend an incredible lot of money on X. Why is free speech so important to you?
Well, I believe you can't get to the truth of things without freedom of speech, without active debate. There's so many on the left that want to just crush debate and put people in prison just for talking, as you were, just for speaking their mind.
That want to put people in prison just for talking and speaking their. That's what the left is calling for. Do y'all remember? Do y'all remember all the times the left has been calling for people to be in prison for the things that they're saying? Do you remember when the left was calling for people to be murdered? I don't. I'm genuinely asking. Please point to me one time. I was in here the other day, and speaking of Red Scare proper, what was the name they gave me? Nestor. Oh no, it was Nestor. Ukrainian. I was talking to a crazy Ukrainian anarchist. I was talking to a person that came in here, and they're calling me a terrorist. They're calling me horrible names because I'm a part of the left, and saying I loved violence. And through this, we eventually got on the topic of, they brought up Antifa, saying it was a terrorist organization, and I said, "Oh, it is. Okay, cool. Okay, so why is that? Because anything can be designated as a terrorist organization. Do you have examples that you can point to, or is this just pointless? Or is this just pointless blame? Or are you just assigning a name to them without any evidence or backing? What is the action in which Antifa has taken? What political or what terrorist act has Antifa as an organization done to warrant them the name of a terrorist organization? They responded by saying, "Oh, well, there's so many. There's countless examples." And I said, "Amazing. It should be super easy to give me one example of how Antifa as an organization is instilling violence, causing terror, or performing terrorist actions." Not Machno. Yes, it was Machno. They pointed me to Nestor Machno, from born in 1888 and lived until 1934. Let's see if I can come up with any crazy Republicans that are actively causing a huge harm to the political environment of this country. Donald Trump, Kash Patel, Laura Loomer, Lauren Boebert, like the Charlie Kirk, Ben Shapiro. Like the list is immediately all-consuming, and I can give you evidence for those. But if they give you the best answer I can give in response is Hassan, to which it's just if they actually have something that he says that was bad is either clickbaited or something he's already addressed and apologized for and already dealt with. Like the oh god, it's just so exhausting dealing with them. Give me one example of Antifa as it's known today. Nestor Machno. Hey, I can't believe he said that when Trump calls for the arrest and death of his political opponents daily. I mean, I can't believe he's lying and dumb. I know. Yeah, it is just sad. But I mean, it's indoctrination. I don't know your religious leanings, but I think a lot of it's also like there's a huge spurn right now of Gen Z men that are turning towards Christianity that don't have any foundation or don't have any understanding of what it means to be Christian, from my understanding. But the same people that are going in that direction are the same people that voted for Trump in this last election. And I you know, when you have a political cult that is led by a political leader that is has many of its members that are crazed evangelicalists, that, you know, there's so many evangelical Christians that are upset about the fact that Trump is not defending Israel more. They think that he needs to be defending Israel more, and that he needs to be trying to send all of the Jewish people in this country over there. The reason for that is because they truly believe that once all of the Jewish people go back to Israel, atheist same. If they send all of the Jewish people back to Israel, then they can start the rapture. That's what starts the rapture, and that's what they want to have happen, because they're the good Christians. And so they know once that the rapture starts, they'll get to go to heaven, and the rest of us will burn in hellfire or whatever. But these are the people that we're dealing with. So how do you talk logic to that? How do you like I think about like my cousin, for example, who apparently said a matter of, I think, like 2 weeks ago, trans people don't deserve rights. Who I know for a fact has said that women don't deserve rights, or women don't deserve access to abortions because women aren't smart enough to make that decision. As a 17-year-old kid, I brought this up before on here, but I saw him for the first time about a year and a half ago, and while we were hanging out, he was like bragging about a Snapchat streak. He was talking about all these girls that he's never met, but he snaps every day, and he doesn't talk to them outside of that, bragging about how, you know, he's got so many people that he can talk to at any moment. And I made a comment about like, oh, you know, I guess I just value women based off like, I guess them as a person, as opposed to like what they can offer me or what they can provide me. And he then went on to tell another cousin of mine, apparently weeks later, that was really cool the way Kevin defended women. You know, I think I kind of want to be more like that. 2 weeks later, he was a fundamentalist Christian and was saying that women don't deserve any rights and that trans people don't deserve rights. Like, again, what the fuck do you do if you have somebody that's not willing to listen to logic, or not willing to listen, is willing to be sucked up into extremism? Then how do you alter that? How do you fix that? Like, I don't know. I haven't figured it out.
You know, the essence of democracy is it should be a government for the people, by the people. And in fact, this is a government against the people and not for the people. This is why everyone is gathered here today, is something's got to be done. This is unacceptable. The government needs to be responsible to the people of Britain. It needs to protect Britain. It needs to protect the weak, those who cannot protect themselves, especially the children.
Where's that barrel?
And when I read about some of the horrific stories and how the government did nothing and tried to hide it, they try to hide these horrific crimes. And then you see how much violence there's on the left. With our friend Charlie Cook getting murdered in cold blood this week, and people on the left celebrating it openly. The left is the party of murder.
So openly.
And celebrating murder. I mean, let that sink in for a minute. That's who we're dealing with here. That is who we're dealing with.
Elon, to so many of the British public.
Point to me the leftist or liberal that's saying that, Elon Musk, you're the richest man in the world. You should have absolutely no problem using as much of your using the resources that you poured into paying somebody to make it look like you were good at Pathfinder. Use some of the money that you spent trying to look cool by being good at video games, by faking it. That you oh, there's that barrel I needed. Put some of that towards finding the one leftist liberal that was saying, thank God this happened. I can't wait for this to happen to more of them. Point to me the mainstream Democrat, because I haven't found them. I found people that talk online because the internet is the internet. You have people that talk online and, you know, say stupid things and all of these different love to talk shit. You know, the internet's known for it. And aside from that, now the internet is incentivized to cause as much rage and cause as much and to cause as much upset feelings as it possibly can. Oops. Can't go that way. I can go that way. Let's see here. I feel like I'm playing Pokemon. It's not gonna send you where I want it to. Well, shit. This is annoying. There we go. There we go. Nope. That's not it. Alright, we're gonna come back to that in a couple minutes. Elon, what were you
They're
saying?
scared to exercise their free speech. They're worried about being imprisoned. They're worried about being attacked, even to share their speech on your platform of X. What message would you give to them?
What message?
The message is really my message to the
going on X and talking on X. What rules are there on X anymore? Aside from, like, I guess, fuck Hassan. Which, has Hassan been banned on Twitter? Because I know he's trying, like, Elon Musk right now is trying to, looks like no. Not currently, anyway. Oh. Yeah, that was an old one from, that, one thing. Elon Musk is currently calling, or, trying, I assume trying to get, Hassan banned off of, Twitch, and yet he hasn't banned him off of Twitter. Which I think is interesting.
Reasonable center. The common sense. So my appeal is to British common sense, which is to look carefully around you and say, if this continues, what world will you be living in? This is a message to the reasonable center, the people who ordinarily wouldn't get involved in politics, who just want to live their lives. They're quiet. They just go about their business. My message is to them: if this continues, that violence is going to come to you. You will have no choice.
Fear mongering.
You're in a fundamental situation here where whether you choose violence or not, violence is coming to you. You either fight back or you die. You either fight back or you die. And that's
all right. So
the
those
truth.
are your two
Today, Elon,
options.
I think the British public are telling the world.
You either fight back or you die. You heard it from the richest man in the world. So, like, what does this do? And granted, he doesn't have people don't have the same fascination with him as they do these other lunatics. But, like, what do you do when the when the richest man in the world is telling the world that they need to pick up arms against and commit violence towards everyone in the world, everyone that's out to get them? This boogeyman, they can't put a face to it because if they put a face to it, that targets it. But as long as it remains a boogeyman, then they can just, you know, gesture vaguely. They bitch and moan about things people say about Charlie Kirk, but they were saying stuff like Nightmare on Walt Street a month back. Oh yeah, Nightmare on Walt Street. They were making jokes about the politicians that were going to come in, or the Democrats that were killed in that one was Minnesota. Like the lack of care of life is just always so apparent. They do such a bad job of hiding it. How do I? Loved it.
Fight back.
Gotta fight back.
Yes.
Come on, Ray Brown. Come on. We've inspired the nation. Elon, you've spoken a lot about woke culture, the woke mind virus, and how it damages innovation and freedom of thought. We know that DEI often sees people getting jobs, and they definitely don't deserve them. Do you think this culture is holding back progress in the West, and what do you think needs to happen to reverse it?
Yeah, I'm appealing to sort of common sense and fairness. I want to emphasize just common sense and fairness, which is that we should make our decisions based on merit, on how if somebody is talented and hardworking, then that should be the only means of advancement. There should not be discrimination on the basis of sex or religion or any race or anything else. And what a lot of the woke stuff is, it's actually super racist, it's super sexist, and it's often it's anti-religion, but only anti-Christian. Like, why only anti-Christian? That's unfair. So this is why again my message is to the reasonable middle. Do you not want a world where there is fairness and common sense, and you advance as a function of how hard you work, and your talent, and your integrity? That should be all that matters. And the woke mind virus that I call it is against all of that. It's wrong.
Thank you. We hear so much about censorship being pushed by governments and global corporations and organisations. A lot of people don't understand why we're allowing mass, uncontrolled immigration into all Western nations. Do you believe that there are powerful forces outside of elected officials, someone controlling governments, that are trying to control the flow of information, and how do we resist that pressure?
Yeah. So, like, what is this?
I think
what is this? This, like, trust in the... He's so cringe, LMAO. He's such a loser. What is this trust in the establishment? You have the richest man in the world. Oh, I didn't know Republicans were so easy to buy. Right? The reasonable middle, where we kill people. But they would never admit to that being what they're doing. The reasonable middle, where we advocate for slave labor in prisons, and we advocate for people not having access to health insurance. I would call that political violence. Marxists would call that political violence. These fucks, however, don't call it anything because they don't have any morals to stand on. They don't have any consistency or care for cares or things like making sense. They wouldn't care about that. Why would they? But like, what is this trust of the establishment? Like, Joe Rogan, I think, is an excellent example of, like, you put Elon Musk on Joe Rogan, and it's a slobber fest of just whatever Elon says. Yes, 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 sir. Yes, sir, Mr. Puppy Dog, sir. But you put any like accredited scientist in front of him, and he's going to be questioning the shit out of them. Anybody that doesn't believe isn't there for his benefit anyway. But like, you see this consistently with all conservative Republican interviews that happen. Is they're spoon-fed their interviews, while liberals and leftists are actually challenged on their opinions and actually challenged on their stances towards these things. But you know, it's Sean Hannity looking across the table and saying, "Now, Mr. President, what's your favorite color?" Versus Sean Hannity with Joe Biden asking or trying to get or talking about Kamala Harris and saying, you know, that she's opened up the borders like her legs. Like the idea that they are the reasonable middle is insane. But also, they are the conspiracy theorist lunatics, and yet they're willing to listen to the richest man in the world, who's also obviously a fucking dweeb. They're willing to listen to this guy about, like, them needing to go out and fight and die while he's in the comfort of his compound, while he's paying immigrant children to play Pathfinder 2 for him all day. You're fine with going out and dying for this cuck? I can't remember what comedian it was. It might have been John Marco, who's very funny, absolutely hilarious. Who made the joke, but the reason they want to get rid of statues, or the reason that wait, what was it? Of course, I'm going to butcher his joke now that I try to tell it to somebody. Oh God, what was it? The real reason to take down statues is because they don't want you to know that people used to do shit. They don't want you to know that, you know, generals used to ride into battle on horses. They want you to think that they did it all from the luxury of their doomsday compound, where they have, you know, like 8 children that they've genetically modified to reflect their image. Like, again, the trust for the elite that has become is absolutely astounding. Whole world's flipped on its head. But I have to go pee real quick, so I'm gonna go and I'll let Elon keep on talking for a minute.
You look at the behavior of organizations where people, you have to say, what is the incentive for these organizations? And frankly, there's a massive incentive on the left to import voters. So if they can't convince their nation to vote for them, they're going to import people from other nations to vote for them. So this is a massive factor. And frankly, it's a strategy that will succeed if it is not stopped. Thus far, it is succeeding. And you see strong movements to allow people who are not from Britain to vote in Britain, to allow people who are not from France or elsewhere to vote in those countries, and thus depriving the citizens of their democratic power. It's really a voter importation thing. And if they're allowed to succeed, if this is allowed to continue, they will succeed in importing voters, swaying the elections, and taking your vote away from you. That is 100% what is happening.
Do you know what's great? The BBC and the mass media cannot control this, can they? I love it.
I mean, the BBC is complicit in the destruction of Britain.
And we pay for it, Elon. We pay for it.
Yes.
We're forced to pay for it. It's insane. If we don't pay for it.
You're forced to pay for your own destruction. It's insane. It's unfair. It is wrong.
Elon, a lot of ordinary people that are here today, they feel ignored, they feel censored, or they're labelled just for speaking up about their legitimate fears and concerns in their communities. Do you believe technology, like X or even AI, can finally give power back to those people? Or do you think it will make censorship worse or even automate it?
I mean, that's a complicated question. It really depends on what government is in charge. The government can obviously use whatever powers are available to suppress the people. And so I really think there's got to be a change of government in Britain. And you can't, we don't have another 4 years or whatever the next election is. It's too long. Something's got to be done. There's got to be a dissolution of Parliament and a new vote held. And really what matters is rallying the people of Britain, really getting the people of Britain to get the message out there, talk to your friends and family, and build a massive power base among the people. And like I said, you really got to appeal to the sort of average, the normal people that just want to go about their business. That they're sort of in a village somewhere, they're working, they just want to mind their own business. But you've got to point out to them that if we don't take action, they won't be able to mind their own business because other people are going to come and maraud them. There's genuine risk of rape and murder, and the destruction of the country, and dissolution of the entire way of life. And so, yes, in the normal course of business, if you weren't under a massive attack, then people should go about their business and just live their lives. But unfortunately, if the fight comes to you, you don't have a choice. You have to fight. So you have to rally all of the people of Britain to fight for the future.
Let me ask
and if
people
this doesn't happen, there won't be a future.
Are you ready to fight for your future, Britain?
Fight for your future. Do it. Go.
Will we be gagged any longer, Britain?
Go. But you know what I mean, Tommy. You know what I mean. I talk to my friends in Britain, and they're like, yes, they live in a village here or there, or a town or city here or there, and they're like, well, it doesn't seem like it's really that much of a problem. I'm like, well, if you want to know what's going to happen to your town or village, just visit London, and you'll see that it's filled with crime. It often doesn't feel like Britain at all, and it's only a matter of time before that is what happens to your town or village. It starts in London, but it will spread to every town and village in the country, and no one will have any peace.
We're running out of time, people. We're running out of time. Elon, you built rockets, you built cars, you built satellites, you built AI. Things most of us couldn't dream of. It's fair to say you're a visionary. When you look at leaders in Europe and the UK today, do you think they share the same talent for future vision, or do you feel like they'll be left behind and out of touch?
Well, I think we've got to have a freer country, a freer. Europe in general has to be freer. It's stifled by bureaucracy. I think it's good that Britain left the EU because there's just too much bureaucracy in the EU. But frankly, instead of really going down a path of personal freedom and deregulation and getting rid of these stifling regulations, unfortunately, the British government has pretty much stayed on par with the EU, if not in some ways made the stifling regulation worse. So if you have excess government regulation and oppression, you stifle the freedom of people to try new and great ideas. And Britain used to be a country that did amazing things, some of the boldest things on the entire planet. And that is possible in the future. But it can't be done if you've got this massive oppressive bureaucracy and a government that doesn't care about its people. And that has to change. There has to be profound change. And there's not much time left.
Elon, you've said before that civilization is fragile. We agree.
Yes.
It's precious. When you look at the West right now, every country in the West, with its wars, its divisions, its censorship, and its declining trust in institutions, none of us trust them at all. None of the public trust them.
Reason.
Are you optimistic or pessimistic about where we are heading?
I think if the people of Britain take charge and actually ensure that there's a government that represents their interests and not a government that represents foreign interests, then I think Britain has a great future. And I think we can be optimistic. I think there's amazing things that are possible. If the technology that's coming is used in the right way, we can have an incredibly exciting future, one which is, sort of Star Trek made real. It's sort of like the exciting utopian sci-fi where we have spaceships and we've got robots and we've got incredible technologies that are really exciting. But we need to preserve civilization long enough for that to happen. And we need to go onward and upward. And we need to fight for such a future. Such a future is not inevitable. We have to fight for such a future.
I think that many British people had lost hope. But after today's scene, have you got hope again, Britain? Britain is awake. Thanks to you, Elon. Thanks for your input. Can we just ask?
Well, thanks to you, Tommy.
Thank you, brother. But can we ask, what do you see as the future of the UK and Europe in your vision? Where are we heading? What's the future like for us?
Well, I think there needs to be a future where the people take charge, where there's deregulation, a massive reduction in bureaucracy, and generally a new hope, where people look forward, wake up in the morning, look forward to the future. They're excited about what's going to happen next. But we must have revolutionary government change for that to occur. And this is not ordinary course of business sort of stuff. This really requires everyone to sort of marshal the people.
UK, Europe, in your vision, where are we heading? What's the future like for us?
Well, I think there needs to be a future where the people take charge, where there's deregulation, a massive reduction in bureaucracy, and generally a new hope, where people look forward, wake up in the morning, look forward to the future. They're excited about what's going to happen next. But we must have revolutionary government change for that to occur. And this is not ordinary course of business sort of stuff. This really requires everyone to sort of marshal the people, to take charge, reform the government, and make sure that you actually have a government that is for the people, by the people. And that's essential. And that's not. And so we're really at a fork in the road here. We're at a fork in the road to darkness or greatness.
All right. I just mentioned her right before the break. Democrat Congresswoman Ilhan Omar is facing serious backlash for bashing Charlie Kirk just a day after he was assassinated. Watch.
Yeah, there is nothing more up, than to completely pretend that his words and actions have not been recorded and in existence for the last decade or so. These people are full of shit, and it's important for us to call them out while we feel anger and sadness and have empathy.
There's nothing more blank up, Laura. There's nothing more than that. I mean, this is unbelievable, and there's more. But Omar is now pushing back on any criticism. Of what she said. Here's a quote. While I disagreed with Charlie Kirk vehemently about his rhetoric, my heart breaks for his wife and children. I don't wish violence on anyone. My faith teaches me the power of peace, empathy, and compassion. Really? Right-wing accounts trying to spin a false story when I condemned his murder multiple times is fitting for their agenda to villainize the left,
to hide from the fact that Donald Trump gins up hate on a daily basis. Republicans in Congress are refusing to let her get away with it. Representative Nancy Mace, again, filing that resolution to censure Omar and strip her of all of her committee assignments. Congressman Buddy Carter supports the move, and here's what he told Fox News Digital. No one who justifies the assassination of someone with different political views than them deserves to sit on a committee. And Ilhan Omar openly used language that incites violence toward her political opponents. Committees are for serious lawmakers, not hate-spewing politicians. And now President Trump is backing the resolution as well. Watch.
Ilhan Omar, after his assassination, called Charlie Kirk a reprehensible human being. Should she be stripped of her community assignments?
I would say, I think she's a disgraceful person. You know, I think she's a disgraceful person, a loser. It's amazing the way people vote. I know it's people from her area, maybe of the world. I don't know. They got here and they vote her in. It's hard to believe, but I think she's a disgusting person.
Laura?
She is a disgusting person. Anyone who doesn't wholeheartedly come out and say this is wrong and should never happen to anyone in America is disgusting. We were talking during the break, Smug, you were mentioning, you know, the reason that I think a lot of this has kind of festered on the left and within the Democrat Party, they don't seem to be able to call it out for what it is because there's a complete lack of leadership in this party. Why hasn't someone from their party come out, Harris, and said strongly, get up and do a press conference about this and say, we all need to be on board with condemning this and saying this is never acceptable in the United States of America. It is unbelievable that somebody can say that. But I think a lot of these people now are just trying to, I don't know, hold on to their followers or the people who support them. They don't want to upset these people. Someone was murdered in cold blood. And this is the response we get from a sitting member of Congress. Absolutely strip her of all of her privileges in Congress there.
You ask the question of the day. Why not one Democrat, not even one, give a news conference and say this is not okay, this is not who we are, we can find out how to win. You know why? Because they don't think they can win.
That's probably right.
And they're so used to losing now that maybe they're right.
Yeah.
Smug.
We discussed this, again, on our Upset or Ruthless that came out today. The reason for this kind of lack of leadership on the Dems, they're scared of their grassroots. When their constituents are telling them, we want blood, we want violence, it's
or
time
communism.
to act. Yeah. They're willing to do anything, and none of them are willing to speak up because they're scared of their grassroots. And then further, you're seeing Ilhan Omar. She knows what she's doing. She knows what she's doing. Her base wants that kind of viciousness, that dehumanization of conservatives, which is how we got in this place.
Yeah, and you agree with that. You just said, yeah, she knows what she's doing.
Yeah, look, she posted a video. Like, we just played some of her remarks. I can't read what was in this video that she posted. If you want to read it, you can go on Nancy Mace's Twitter feed, and she has the resolution, and it lists out everything said in this video about Charlie Kirk. But just to note how bad this video was, the video a sitting Congresswoman posted called him a reprehensible human being, a stochastic terrorist, and it went on and on and on to blame him for his own assassination. This is absolutely appalling. And when you look at the censure list, there have been 28 members of the House censured going back to 2000. And there are some bad actors on there. That's how I'll describe them, like Jamal Bowman, who pulled the fire alarm, Al Green for disrupting a joint session. You got Rashida Tlaib on there for false narratives regarding the Hamas attack on Israel, Adam Schiff. You got a bunch of bad actors. But if I could put a crown on someone's head and be, you are the queen of the most censured person in Congress, it would be Ilhan Omar. As bad as this list of items are, nothing is worse than celebrating the death of a young man who has 2 children. You belong nowhere near Congress. You should be censured, and it's a privilege resolution, which means it will come up before the end of this week. Do your job, Congress. Do your job, Democrats. Join and say, we will not tolerate this from a congressperson here. If this is just Republicans, I don't know what to say to you. Join with Republicans. Fix this.
Yeah. Look, 2 things.
That's hilarious. Thank you so much, Master. I didn't realize I'd been muted this whole time. I thought I unmuted myself. I don't know what I would do without you. That's hilarious. I see. Fine then. Oh, no, I appreciate the help. I didn't even realize I was muted. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing well. Hope you're staying safe. Where was I going next? We need to Edgeville. That's right. Edgeville. I got tired of covering the news. My brain got heavy. Unfortunately, I've been muted for probably 30 minutes now, but it's fine. How long have I been going? Oh, not that long. Not that long. I need to pull the lever. We're playing RuneScape again. We got more leagues to do. Where's my wilderness lever? Coffin, pull the lever. Reasonably for horrible moral positions. There is a difference. There's an important difference. Get back to Artie, then do it again for the Artie achievement. Oh, I've got to get all the way back to Artie. Actually, I think I want to do the... Oh no. Did I forget? Did I mess up? Can I pull the lever back? I forgot to bring a cutting source. Thank you. Then again back to Artie. Oh. There we go. That's how you do it. That's right. Canada eventually will overturn if the country ever moves back towards the constitution of which decades of progress will be rescinded. Don't worry, we're moving back. We're moving back as quick as we can. Isn't that the diary done? Oh, I'm in Artie. Where's the lodestone? Over there. We're taking it back all the way back to what's a good year? 1933. We're taking it all the way back to 1933 right now. Everybody's favorite year. Good year for the Braves. Oh, there it is. I did finish it. I did get that task. Okay, good. Activate you. Steal an inventory of cakes. Where's the cake stall? Stalls are down here. Should have passed a new amendment applying the Equal Protection Clause to private entities, which the state have to enforce it, and federal government ensures state compliance. I feel like, oh wait, let me not get caught by the guard. Right here? No? Yeah, seal it there. I seal it right here. Oh, there's the yoink. Already applied the principles of the Civil Rights Act to the states, but not private entities. Well, we got to make sure that those private entities still have the power to be able to do what they want at the end of the day, right? Isn't that the most important thing? You know, if we make sure the companies or private entities are not subject to these things, then we retain the implementation of these things as weapons. You know, the idea of equal protection. We want to be able to have we want the ability to be able to strip that away. If we don't have the ability to take it away, then how are we going to, you know, make fascism happen? Thief, thief, thief. All right. It's not gonna let me steal cakes right now. Very Dixiecrat. I've been called worse. I've been called worse things. I've been called many worse things than a Dixiecrat. I like the chicks. They used to go by a different name, but now they go by the chicks. I don't really want to do the... I don't want to do Tree Gnome Village right now. I don't want to do Fight Arena. Oh, they want me to do Grand Tree right now, too? No, we're going to go ahead and go to Catherby and start some farming training. That's what we're going to do. Let's go to Catherby. That sounds like way more fun. That sounds like a way better time. The most BS thing the court has done. What did they do? This time, I mean. The most annoying thing they've done? I'm not doubting you, I'm just curious. Or the most BS thing? Catherby, we made it to Catherby. All right, let's activate that lodestone. Get the teleport mind altar. 100 runes. I don't wanna. We are gonna train farming. We're going to figure this out. What do we need to do? So we're at Catherby. Activate the lodestone. Has already been done. Where's the farming shop? Over here. Let's break some of these real quick. Yeah. Here's level 3. Once we get to level 5, we should get our level 5 in every skill achievement. Lopez case. I think that's a way in which the systems try to frustrate us is by making things difficult across state lines from place to place. But I mean, like they do this with all sorts of things. Not necessarily through this method, but the base idea, I mean, I think is fish stall, wine stall. I need to steal from one more stall. Can I steal from you? 22. Steal from you? 42. Which means that you can do that with literally anything, not just weapons. Well, the government would want to expand that to as many options as possible, right? Oh wait, I got level 5. Did I get the... Nope. Did I not? Oh, level 5. Yes, I did. Okay, cool. 50 more. 50 more. All right, let's get... Let's pull you up. That's going to be easier to find what I need. What do I have in... City of There's a lot of stuff in the city of Edgeville, Fort, Karamja, Valador, Berthorpe, Tavernley. Okay, let me undo all of these real quick. My god, is there a lot? Oh my word. Okay, that's quite a bit. Let's look at, where am I? Karam? No, I'm at Catherby. Where's Catherby? Does this just count as Sears Village? Eagles Peak, Gnomes. Huh, I guess it's just Sears Village. The more I learn about the court's history, the more I get disgusted with its decisions. I feel like that's pretty common with anything you try to learn about, like, systems. Like, the more I've learned about U.S. history, let me tell you, the more disgusted I've been. Let's go to the bank. The more I learn about, you know, the police system, the more disgusted I get. I'll just pull out all of these so it stops yelling at me for not having them. Put those away. Let's see here. Which crane? Talk to Vanessa. Trade with Vanessa. What do you have? I've perverted the shift towards subjective and fluid interpretation of law can get opposite outcomes despite being the same. People get greedy. People get greedy, that's for sure. see. Oh. I'm coming up on my 2-hour stopping point. Oh, and I'm gonna hop off. Big stretch. Anyway, I want to, sorry, I'm hopping off so quickly, but Master Liberty, thanks for coming in today. I appreciate having you. Thank you for everybody that stopped by. We got a couple new followers. Always lovely to see, but I hope you have a good day and stay safe. I get to go see the new Demon Slayer movie tonight. I don't know if you're a fan, but I've heard it's pretty, so I'm about to go get ready for that. But have a good one. And I'll see you next time. I'll see you next time out there. Catch you later. Wee! Thanks, you too. Have fun.
Flames rise, the sky ablaze, shadows writhe in hell's dark maze. Swords clash, the echoes scream, blood-soaked ground a dead.